Prayer time. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer and my sacrifices, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess of my faults. So grant me protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. Surely thou art praised and magnified. O Allah, bless Muhammad and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. Surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen.
Ameen.
In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet the Master Called family with the greeting words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. And assalamu alaikum to our brother who is back for Men's Health. Let me get it right. How to Eat to Live, Men's Health, Part 2. With our brother, Dr. Akili Muhammad. We're excited to have you back. If you saw part 1, you knew this was coming. So here we are sooner than later. Thank you for joining us again, brother. We're going to go ahead and dig right into the questions. But first, of course, if you have any opening words, anything you would like to share with us before we get started to prep the people's mind, please feel free to, sir.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. It's a blessing to be back here with the master call and how to eat to live.
Yes,
and I thank you for the opportunity. I did want to clarify some things after I went and re-listened to the first episode. So if you all don't mind, I'm going to take a few minutes and um, for those of you who didn't see the first one, you'll have to listen to it for this to make sense. But I just wanted to clarify some things. Number one, let me start correctly. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So the first clarification I wanted to mention was when I went back and listened, I felt like my delivery was a little rough. And I wanted to explain that, number one, I realized that Black men have had a horrible existence in America's health system. Our outcomes are usually very traumatic. And I want to clarify in a way of saying to any Black man that was listening the first time, I do have a part of me that believes that we as Black men have to stop making excuses like that. Yes, it's been damaging. Yes, it's been a rough ride for us, but it's now time for us to take control. I think more was my spirit than it was to belittle or demean anybody. Um, Being in this field now for 30 years, of course, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, started off with a story last time about the man with the hernia, but I've seen it firsthand. I know that Black men have a serious fear about going into clinics, urgent care centers, hospitals, doctor's offices, all of that. But I'm trying to pose the reality that I'm different. I can't say that every Black man that I know that is a physician is different. Many of them have the mind of our enemies, but I'm posing something different. And that was I would say, the perspective I think my heart, mind, and soul was that day. And so I just wanted to pose it that way, brothers, that you're listening to a man whose passion comes from his love.
Yes, sir.
His passion comes because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Fard Muhammad have directed me in a way where that has grown. I believe that I wanted to be a physician for the right reasons. It's never been about prestige, accolades, money. Yes, I want all of those things to whatever degree Allah allows it, but care was always my primary source. And I just wanted to open up in that manner because you're going to hear the passion come right back out of me today. So just want to make sure you brothers know that you're listening to a man when he gets passionate. It's passionate because I know that you are listening to a man today that I believe would give my life if it was to help Black men be able to be in a better state mentally. And to some degree, I am giving my life because just like we know that the minister has been incarcerated in America, if those of you who aren't members of the Nation of Islam, go try to find the last time that these people that run the media have allowed him to come on a major television show. I mean, they might post him on Chicago News after Savior's Day or here or there, but it's all negative. He hasn't had a chance to speak for himself. And I am living the same type of life. I'm shunned by most Black doctors. But Brother Key's not going to change until our people are healthy. And I believe by the time Black people get healthy, we will also show everybody else the way. So that's where my passion comes from. So now just a couple of things. I didn't mention last time when we were talking about protein that many of us get protein really confused because of all the bad information like I spoke last time, but our bodies don't accept protein. We break down protein into amino acids, and amino acids is what serves the brain, serves the muscles and those things. So I want to clarify that. Um, I mentioned that How to Eat to Live mentions processed foods. And so that is in book one on page 31 and 7, and in book two on 70 and 91. The other thing that I did not mention last time was when we were having a discussion about exercise. The things that I mentioned are absolutely necessary, but the part that I didn't mention was exercise. When a man is trying to fix his testosterone, you can't do that by sitting. You literally have to walk, move, and exercise, which is the natural way that we maintain it, amongst other things that I said, but we maintain it mostly with physical exercise. Very important.
Good teaching.
We also talked about fasting, and I used the word rest. And I want it to be clear that when I use the word rest, anytime I'm talking about health, I'm coming from two perspectives. Of course, we rest the body when we fast. The GI system is directly tied to aging. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the less you eat, the longer you live. And the other part is getting in the bed and closing your eyes. I have many Muslims tell me, hey, Muslims don't sleep. Okay, well, what you are saying is that your brain is not working to its maximum. Because in order for you to put your memories in the right place, in order for your brain to heal, in order for you to take all the information that you gather every day and put it in its proper place so that your brain can work at the greatest of its functional ability, you have to get rest. Now, each of you have to figure how much that takes. I know when I'm fasting, I don't need but about 3 or 4 hours of sleep. But on the days that I eat, typically I feel rested when I wake up in the morning when I get around 6. My typical bedtime is between 11 to 12, and I'm usually up at 5 preparing to pray. And that's enough sleep for me to make it for the rest of the day. But I know people that are trying to get by on 1 and 2 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep, but then they're letting other things and other people wake them out of their sleep. Not a good idea. Very important. And if we grow in our independence and producing our own world, we will not wake up our children with alarm clocks. If we understand that our children grow when they're asleep and all the things that I just talked about brain health and sleep, we will allow our children to wake up when they wake up and change the educational system to fit that reality. Um, Natural salt, I mentioned last time, that's in book 2 on page 88. The statement about the body being made of water, stone, chemicals, etc., that's in book 1 on page 53. Um, and I made one statement where I mentioned heat exhaustion, and that the other one I didn't repeat before we got off, but it's heat exhaustion that is dangerous, and heat stroke is life-threatening. So those were the two words. If you need more information, I can definitely get you that. Um, a few things about meat, and we were talking about why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we should not eat meat, and it's not congruent with long life. And so I'm not going to be as what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to be as nice on this last one. You all gonna have to look up some of these on yourself. I will
Yes.
say that in book 1, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentions, meat and then chicken and other things. So find those pages in book 2. I'm gonna give you 2 pages, and y'all gotta go get the rest. All right. So in book 2, he mentions meat on page 20 and page 52, and there are at least 4 or 5 more pages in book 2 where he mentions meat and he gets specific in the types of meats. But if I make it too easy, well, you don't have no work to do. So praise be to Allah. That's all I had. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. Love that. The encouragement to go dig in there yourself.
Yes, sir.
Um, First off, I love how we started this off with those additions to what you said on part one, because we love to be thorough on the master call. So all the resources have been laid out. Any additions or corrections is very important. We make corrections and we do it proudly and humbly at the same time in the Nation
Yes,
of
sir.
Islam. That's what we're about, is being correct, so that's appreciated. And particularly the part for me where you spoke on passion, um, to me, that was a great start to Men's Health Part 2, because in this work, particularly with helping our people, and I'm not gonna talk too much, I promise, but I just had to say this since you spoke on that. The minister is one of the most passionate men I've ever seen, the
That's right.
Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And when you do have that love and that desire to help your people, and I'm speaking personally for myself as well, it can be very emotional. Um, and that's something that we have to be honest with ourselves about and be cognizant of, so that our mental health doesn't get damaged. So I appreciate you expressing that and letting the people know, you know, who may see this coming from their brothers at times, that it's not anger or judgment towards anybody, but it's really a strong, sincere desire that we all have to have for each other more. That's real
Yes, sir.
empathy. That's what real empathy looks like. Um, but thank you for that, brother. So
Yes,
we'll
sir.
start off. I'm actually gonna go down and skip what was going to be my first question, because you talked about rest. So I think that was a good segue into this one instead. Um, the question is basically, what is considered enough rest? And I'm going to add to that question because you spoke on how when you fast, you said you typically only need around 3 or 4 hours, I believe you said.
Yes, sir.
And that was interesting to me because I actually just had an experience the other day where I couldn't sleep after getting about 3 or 4 myself. And I was like, what's going on? But the day prior to that, I had only really ate watermelon, and that was it. I had some watermelon, then I went to work, and uh, yeah. So it kind of felt like I fasted because that was all I had.
Yes, sir.
So if you could speak kind of to, maybe like how much fast should a person, I mean, excuse me, how much food, how much rest should a person have if they're eating one meal a day, or for our family who's still eating 3 meals a day. Um, if you want to speak to that.
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. And it's very high scientific question because our bodies, as I spoke last time about water intake, our bodies are very adaptive. We're adapting to our reality every day. So I'll just use an example like you just did, because that's an excellent example that goes in line with what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the less we eat, the longer we live. When you eat something like watermelon, as most of us have the experience, you put it in your mouth and you start chewing, it's mostly water by the time you swallow.
Hmm.
There's not a lot of work that we have to do with most fruits. So that would be an analogy if we use work. And let's say that, the work that you do, Brother Demetrius, is construction. I'm talking about like serious hard work construction, like bricklaying or concrete, or like some of these guys we see on the side of the roads doing some of this construction on roads. That's hard work to dig those things. And you have a tractor, but then you got to get in there with a shovel and do other things, right? So compare that man working that way to me having a day full of patience where I'm sitting all day, using my mind, but sitting all day. And again, we go back to watermelon as the food for that day. And then you get into bed and you haven't done your own experimentation with how much your body needs. We all need to do that. But on the day where, let's say, I'll use myself for example, if I go out and I work out for 2 hours in the sun, and then I'll take a little break, and then I'll go spend maybe another couple hours in my garden. And the beginning of my day was sitting inside, but the evening time when it's most hot outside, that's what I do. I may go to bed that evening and wake up in the morning at 5 and don't feel rested. Whereas a day where I'm sitting all day and even fasting and go to bed, my body doesn't need that much rest. It's all relative to the amount of work that you put the body through. So if I'm sitting all day, yes, using my brain, but not physically doing anything that's demanding, I need less food. I have I have literally worked my body less. So there's less that I need to put in the body to feed it, less that I have to work, less time that you need in sleep to do the things that helps heal the body and take the body back to a place of functioning where you can handle the next day. Everything that the body does is always based on how it wants to function the next day. And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, right in book one, he says, you should eat your meal between 4 to 6. And in book two, he says 4 or 6. Can Brother Akili explain that? No. But what I can say is that he talks about if you can't do it at those times, eat at the same time every day. Basically, meaning that our bodies are very rhythmic, just like our travel around the sun. All of these things are related to each other. And so, each of you, brother and sister, I would suggest that you start doing an experimentation on the days that you fast, the days that you eat heavy meals, the days that you eat light meals, the day that you physically exert yourself versus the days that you sit and maybe binge on some television show all day, right? We all do those type of things. Each one of those days, you ought to be able to pay attention to how you feel when you wake up the next morning. And it's going to take some time, but eventually you'll be able to say to yourself, man, when I eat meat, I need more sleep. When I eat a vegetarian meal, I need this much. When I'm fasting, I only need this. When I drink coffee, I may have this problem or it may have this benefit. So all of those things will play into how much sleep you need. And it's an experimentation that you need to do, pay very close attention to. And then the evaluation of your experimentation would be, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze, how you make it through your day. If you have enough energy to make it through your whole day and you know that you ate well yesterday versus I ate well yesterday, but I need a nap in the middle of the day. All of these things go into how much rest your body needs, how much exertion you are putting on your body, and then you'll figure that out, which will produce the best ability for you to handle the day and the type of energy that you need for your day. Inshallah, I answered the question.
Yes, sir. I like that answer. So I already got my light meal experimentation out the way. So
That's right.
I'll pay attention to the other ones. Praise be to Allah. Um, Another question. Oops. Um, I'd like to ask about the difference between curing type 2 diabetes versus type 1. In parentheses, it says taking insulin and the weaning process.
The weaning process, I'm assuming they're talking about getting off of insulin. If they
That's
can
what I'm
clarify, but I can answer if that is correct. So when we read in How to Eat to Live, what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says about diabetes, that's going to be your own experimentation with the book, because there are approximately, if I remember accurately, there are 8 statements in book one. And if I remember correctly, about 4 to 6 in book two, where he specifically talks about how easy diabetes is to cure, to solve, to manage. That, in Brother Akili's understanding, he's referencing type 2. And that has been my experience since my practice of medicine is based in the book. I've seen many, many, many people walk out of the reality of diabetes type 2. Now, because let me just clarify that, because type 2 diabetes is 100% reliant on what you eat. And so if a person is a diabetic and you go to a regular doctor and they're still telling you to eat 3 meals a day, that's about as foolish as watching a dog run after its tail and thinking that that dog is going to accomplish something, right? So, in the analogy of that, that's what you're doing. You're running in a circle and you'll never solve the problem listening to this world's explanation of what you should do as a diabetic. Now, diabetes type 1 is a different reality. It usually is because the person has lost the ability to make insulin, which is what draws the sugar out of the blood into the cells and different parts of the body that need it. So when you don't have the ability to produce insulin, you have to put exogenous insulin in you, meaning coming from outside of the body. So when a person has type 1 diabetes, typically I used to, and doctors in general say you can't solve that problem. You're going to have to take insulin for the rest of your life. Well, I have somebody that I'm working with that is proving that to be untrue, because when I started using How to Eat to Live as the foundation of our medical practice, I always said to myself, I believe the body can heal anything. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, gave us that the 90% of our ills can be solved with fasting. Okay, well, that means there's only 10% of things that Brother Keeley needs to concentrate on if I have a dedicated, diligent person working with me. So this sister is working diligently, is on much less insulin than when we first started, and is eating 1 meal every other day,
Mm,
which I would have thought was unheard of when I first started practicing medicine. So here is where my philosophy is, as I showed you all last time. I believe I showed you the fasting picture, right? And it talks about the different hours after we have eaten and the hours after we have finished digesting our food, and what the differences are, what the differences are with the hormones, and then the ability of the body to heal itself in those extended hours. So when you're approximately 12 hours after finishing digesting your food, between 12 to 24, you start making stem cells. A stem cell is a brand new cell It has no differentiation. It's not a heart cell, brain cell, muscle cell, kidney cell. It's just a brand new cell, like a brand new baby. And Allah has already put the information in his body to dictate where that's supposed to go based on the priority of what needs to be healed in the body, right? We may think that my heart needs to be healed, but you're going to die if your liver doesn't get solved first. So that's the beauty and the wisdom in these bodies already. So the stem cells will be sent where they need to be. So in a type 1 diabetic, Brother Keely's humble philosophy is that that is something that can kill a person quickly. So stem cells will be sent to the pancreas, and the pancreas will be being renewed on these fasts, and inshallah get to a place where it can now reverse the lack of being able to produce insulin and start producing insulin. And I believe that her body is going in that direction. And it is hard work. So if anybody is interested in that type of journey, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's an uphill climb. Yes, it takes time because there are a lot of adjustments that need to be made. And then typically the person with type 1 diabetes starts to suffer as a child. And so, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in How to Eat to Live, that on a couple of occasions he said something about diabetes if you catch it in time. So that teaches me that sometimes we can do so much damage to the body, it either is going to be a very difficult process, or maybe you can make a lot of progress and maybe not totally get to the complete healing. Maybe that's what that 10% is. I can't say 100%. I'm saying the things that kind of rotate in my head. But what I do know is that as a type 1 diabetic, you could greatly increase the chance of longevity, and you can greatly decrease the need for things coming outside of your body by working hard, which mostly is going to include fasting. So, inshallah, I answered the question.
Praise be to Allah. And best wishes and prayers to that client. I hope that that continues to go productively. Sounds excellent.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
believe she's going to be successful
Yes, sir.
by Allah's permission.
Inshallah. Yes, sir. Another good segue talking about the cells. Um, Next question. For someone who has overcome cancer, uh, what is a good way to reproduce white blood cells?
Hmm.
Some practices, some foods.
Yes. So, let me just first start with anytime a person is diagnosed with cancer, we are looking at experiencing the reality of a very depleted immune system. And I'll use the analogy of someone trying to come into our mosques anywhere, and starts trying to disrespect one of our wives, sisters, daughters, nieces. It's not going to go well for you, partner.
Not at all.
I can promise you that, right?
Yes, sir.
But I use that as an example because I've never been the type of person that played with women that I loved. I was always one that would go to jail with a smile on my face if I'm looking out for one of my sisters, my mama, one of my cousins. But it was the Nation of Islam's teaching by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that made me grow in respect for them and to get rid of the old thinking about what a woman was supposed to be to me. So I'm just using that as a backdrop to that is the kind of mind that you're going to be up against if you come into Mosque 93 down here in Macon, Georgia, and try to disrespect one of them sisters. You're not going to be able to turn me off. You're not going to be able to turn my emotions down. And you're not going to be able to stop me until I finish what I think that person deserves by disrespecting. Now, it's all going to be done correctly, we're going to give you a chance. But I'm saying if you literally try to disrespect one of our women, we're going to make sure you never do it again. And everybody that you tell the story to and everybody that knows about the story would never try it. That is the way your immune system is to cancer and anything else that's wrong. Right. So I'm just trying to put that, I'm not trying to make anything of myself, just putting it in context. Our immune systems will murder anything that comes inside easily,
mm,
and it will not stop until the threat is destroyed. So think about that. That is the way Allah made your body, and it does anything that comes into it to threaten it like that. So if you have been diagnosed with cancer, your immune system, in the same analogy, would be like somebody walking in the mosque talking about they're going to rape one of them sisters over there in them white garments. And you sit there like, hey, look, I don't think you should do that.
mm,
Very passive,
mm.
not having the ability to murder what comes into the body as a threat. So the most important aspect of getting the body back right in a state of overcoming or fighting cancer, the first is you have to have nutrition because nothing can be rebuilt, nothing can be maximized, nothing can act in the way that it's made to without nutrition. And I always say the second thing is you have to learn how to detoxify your life. Detoxify here, detoxify what you put on your skin, what you brush your teeth with, what you put under your arms. All of these things, soap, shampoo, all of these things have to be detoxified because just about everything I just talked about putting on your skin has multiple cancer causing agents in them. And then after you first of all, learn how to get nutrition in your body correctly, and then learn how to detox. The most important part after that is to fast because fasting will put you in the state that I just finished mentioning. And there are studies that have come from all over the world within the last 15 years that say that we completely renew our blood cells and our white blood whole system in a 3 day fast. Look at what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has done for us.
Yes, sir.
So, if we are following How to Eat to Live just to the best of our ability and we fast every month, he said that you will not have enough germ in your body at the end of the year to make you sick more than 1 hour. It's impossible for cancer to grow in that body. It's impossible for cancer to stay in that body if you try to attempt to do it to your best of your ability at any point in your life where you may not have been living this life. But cancer has become a threat, especially to Black people, because of what we have been going through. I turned 58 on August 11th by the grace of Allah.
Allahu
And I
Akbar.
am here to tell you that as a young man, I heard Black people say cancer was a white people's disease, dementia was a white people's disease. And yet now, there's nobody on this call that doesn't know somebody that has cancer, probably has died from cancer, a family member with cancer. So something is definitely attacking us, right? We know who our enemies are and what's attacking us. But at the end of the day, the point I'm getting to, brothers and sisters, is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has predicted so many things in my life. There is no way that I read How to Eat to Live and don't think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doesn't know exactly what we are up against today. How to Eat to Live is the key. So you asked about the foods, get a grocery store list from How to Eat to Live. Put those foods in your life. Listen to what he says about how to manage your life through the book How to Eat to Live. And I think you can overcome cancer and or prevent cancer from ever being a problem in your life. As I sit in front of you, brothers and sisters, at 58 years young, I am not worried about cancer at all. I don't give a damn what I'm being exposed to.
Yes,
What
sir.
I put on my clean, I'm sorry, what I put on my skin are clean products, plant-based. I stopped using antiperspirants 20 something years ago. So the threat of cancer is still here because we see chemtrails every day. We know the water is poisonous, the air is poisonous, but fasting will cure 90% of our ills. That's what I lean on. and I'm eating one meal every other day, which I would suggest everybody do once you are beyond 40,
mm.
maybe even earlier if you have finished do children. But my point is that we have there's no
You breaking up just a
body
little
that
bit
is
now.
following. I'm sorry, say again.
You were breaking up for a moment.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir. It was just a little patchy, but you're clear now.
What was the last thing I said that you heard?
Um, the last thing I heard was eating one meal every other day after 40, after you turn 40.
Yes, sir. So I think that many of us could start earlier, if you're finished, well, I would say from the female perspective, if you're beyond having any more children, you can start as soon as you like. And I think a man, as far as he's not working a physical, laborious job, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said if you work physically laborious jobs, you shouldn't do one meal every other day or every 3 days. So outside of the guidelines that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us, in a world like we live in, the more fasting you do, the better it is going to be for your health. But those would be my suggestions. So just to be clear, get your grocery list from How to Eat to Live, detoxify your body, and number three, fast as much as you possibly can, and you will replenish everything that was destroyed with your battle with cancer. And the last thing that I'll say in addition to that is remember that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about, and I'm gonna get the page for this one. He talks about you could fast for 2 days or 3 days or 3 times 3 days, 20 days or 30 days. But if you don't have the right thoughts, you're not going to get the benefits. So, the most important thing that I can suggest to a person that has cancer or is concerned about cancer or has so called gone into remission is that you have to deal with the damage that was done to your mind. Because I'm here to tell you that just about everybody that I work with, not just cancer, but even what I would consider lesser medical problems, the biggest problem that I see in 2025 is that everybody is being destroyed in confidence. They're
Mm,
being destroyed in believing that they can heal a problem. This medical system of the American system is not interested in you decreasing their paycheck. So think about all these different doctors, how much money they make, how their processes are completely tied to prescriptions, and what kind of information are you going to get from that type of mind that's going to grow you in confidence in healing yourself? So you have to get your mind in a place. I would suggest the best place is How to Eat to Live. But the other thing that you can do is go on YouTube and listen to some of these people that are talking about healing and overcoming medical problems. Now, I doubt very seriously that you can follow all of their advice and do well, but I'm talking about getting your mind out of thinking you're going to die, thinking you're going to wind up with something, or thinking that something is going to kill you or overcome you. Those type of things have to be overcome with a lot of knowledge going in your head otherwise, because if they kill your head, the body's going to follow very soon.
mm. Good teaching. Yes, sir. Excellent. I just want to throw this out there on the microphone since I forgot to say it earlier. But if anybody has any questions live for our brother, please direct message them to me in the chat on Zoom. Thank you all who are here. Excellent answers so far, brother Dr. Akili. Praise be to
Praise
Allah.
be to Allah.
Next question. Now, this is an interesting one. The question is preconception, having children, preconception. What is a good time frame for a man to prepare himself for conception, and what good practices would you suggest?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
That's
So,
an excellent question.
My first answer would be from I'll call it a futuristic hereafter answer, right? The best thing to do would be to follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's suggestion and feed your child only bean soup so that there'll be 240. I'll let you all find that page. That's in book two. I'm sorry, book one. But the reason why I say that is because we now, as people that should have a desire and a will to produce a new reality, we're going to have some people that are bold enough to prove what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the minister have taught us. You know, when I work in the streets with these young brothers that walk around with the sticks, I can never judge them because I used to walk around with guns most of my life. But I always tell them, I say, you know, the biggest gangster that's going to be remembered in the longest period of time is the one that decides not to go kill somebody that did something to him with a gun. That's going to be the most gangster brother that's going to be known in the perpetuity of time. And I believe that about our teachings. We've had great teachers, we've had great examples, but I haven't seen anything from a perspective of how to eat to live in my tenure in the Nation of Islam that produces something outside of what I have already seen, right? The oldest person I've ever seen was my grandmother, 110. She was still active at 104 and 105.
Mhm.
I don't plan, if Allah says the same thing, to not break that mold. I plan on breaking that mold in my family.
That's right.
And everybody that talk crazy about me becoming a Muslim and the way you eat, and some of my family members get mad because I go visit their homes and my wife and I go to the grocery store. Stop by, what's happening? Drop off the bags. We about to go to the grocery store, and some of them literally get angry at us. I don't give a damn. You can be mad all you want to, but I'm not coming in your house and eating the garbage that you have.
Mm.
So when they see me, they're not gonna see me, but when I experience their funeral, right? I've had enough of my family members say things to me that they know I'm doing something that's good. They know I'm doing something that's right. But what it really does is it intimidates them because you ain't willing to stand up and do something different in your life. That's not my problem. That's your problem. But the point that I'm getting to is that we have to get into the mind frame of thinking like what I just posed in general. Like every member of the Nation of Islam should be looking to outlast everybody in their family and outlast anybody they know, maybe except another member of the Nation of Islam. And that's how we'll start producing the reality that will change the general public's mind. So, what I'm clearly saying is that we have to start growing and showing the reality of never adulterating the eggs in a sister, never adulterating the sperm in a brother. Now, the difference is that a man can change at 37, and because we get rid of old sperm and remake new sperm every day, we literally could change our way of thinking, change our lifestyle, fast on a regular basis, and now your sperm is being renewed. Sisters are born with all of their eggs at birth. Can you do some of the same cleaning up? Absolutely. But there also are possibilities that there can be some damage done that if you don't do enough, that could be why. And I pray that nobody takes any offense because I don't mean any offense by this. This is just what I believe that sometimes when we see a family member and one of their eyes is over here, right? We don't know where the hell you're looking. That to me is the result of a mother or a father that had an inappropriate something happen in the egg or the sperm. When you see a child and you see something physically wrong with them, we can't put that on Allah. The sperm and the egg is a process of perfection that the Lord of the worlds gave us. And that's how we've had production for trillions of years. It can't be a messed up process, an inappropriate, adulterated process to produce life for trillions of years, right? And we know for a fact, we might not know beyond 66, But we know for a fact that this earth and black people have been on this, what we call the earth in 2025, for 66 trillion years. That's a long time to produce offspring, right? So that process has to be perfect. The process of having a child come out malformed or a child come out with problems is a problem of our mistakes and our not submitting to what it is that could keep these bodies perfectly working. So the process of a man, since today is man's health, I just wanted to talk in general right now, specifically talk about men.
Yes, sir.
Your process pretty much has to be the same that I just finished saying about cancer. Because if you're a black man like I was, I would say probably bordering on 30, I was still using antiperspirants under my arm. How much damage are we doing to our body by stopping sweating in an area that was made for you to sweat?
Mm,
There's that lack of submission again. And when we were made into something other than ourselves, we aren't even doing common sense things to take care of our bodies. So, starting from the top and going to the bottom, my brothers, what you put on your hair, what you put on your skin, what you put under your arms, if you put lotion all over your body, the type of soap that you use, all of these things, as I have said before, have the potential to affect you in a negative way because, brother, Achilles' research over the last 21 to 22 years is that the two systems of the human body that our enemies are attacking the most in this depopulation reality is your brain and your testicles. So your ability to think correctly and your ability to reproduce is being attacked every day. And so if you don't put some time into that, you might eat right, but your largest organ being the skin, you're inundating yourself with toxins every day. If you don't exercise, if you don't sweat, if you don't fast, all of these things will increase the toxicity in your body. And everywhere that blood goes, toxins go. That means everywhere because blood keeps everything alive. When we eat something toxic, when we put something toxic on us, that toxicity is going every single place where blood travels. And so, yes, your testicles are being inundated with toxins. As I spoke before, the fatty organs of the body collect the most toxins. That's where we store toxins in fatty tissues. And so, testicles having a fat content to them, you're storing a lot of toxins in your testicles, which is going to affect your ability to make the God given sperm that we were given the ability to make because of the adulteration of the system and the things in this environment that we live in. So I pray that I answered your question.
yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Next question. Keeping in mind that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that cooked food is better for us, do you think the most honorable Elijah Muhammad would approve of fruit fasting? Why or why not?
Well, in the question, I would have to clarify that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, cook your vegetables.
Mm,
And if you're going to eat meat, to cook your meat. He talked about cooking meat and bread well done. And I'll just throw this out there as your assignment. Find where he says that we should cook meat and bread 2 times to be the best for digestion. So I want to clarify that. He always mentioned that fruit is best eaten raw. So do I believe he would approve of a fruitarian diet? I will never try to act like I could answer what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
right.
was thinking, is thinking, or will think. But Brother Keely's estimation is that a fruitarian diet would be absolutely wonderful for the human body. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in Book One that virtually all fruits are good for us. So when we're talking about a food, that is good for you, then it has the ability to do all the things I just finished talking about, right? And then when we look at the color scheme of fruits, I would say that fruits have the most beautiful and the largest array of colors, right? You have a lot of vegetables that have similar colors as fruits, but fruits, I think, have the greatest array. And so when we think about fruit and we associate that with benefits and healing, it's hard to find a food that has that same type of ability. Now, let me separate what I'm saying from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words. I'm not saying that fruit is better than navy beans, whole wheat bread, or whole milk, because those are what he said are the best foods. But what I'm saying is that in my research and experience, those foods that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said are the best, hands down, but they still don't have as many different phytonutrients as fruits. You can go into something like a plum or grapes with seeds, and I mean, the number of different phytonutrients in these fruits are, I mean, amazing. They're still learning some of the many different things that are in fruits. And so when I have worked with some people that are on fruitarian diets, I mean, these people's skin is so wonderful. Everything that we can test about them is so great because of that factor. You have a very high level of antioxidants. What's an antioxidant? So if any of you have ever had a banana or an apple, right? You open up a banana, take a piece, bite it, you put it down, you may get busy, you will go back, and it's brown just a few minutes. Leave it there too long, it starts to get soft and brown, right? Same with an apple. You bite it, sit it down, turns brown. That is an oxidation process in the fact that that's a deterioration. Everything on the planet is deteriorating. It just depends on what this animal or this tree or we as humans are doing to fight that oxidation. Fruit is one of the best things and has plenty things in it that fights oxidation. So just imagine that if somebody were to do a surgery on you or you have some type of injury and you can see inside of yourself, right? See in the muscles or see with your tissues being moved so you can see it physically inside the skin. That process, if you move the skin away, is the same process. Your skin and your inside tissues don't necessarily turn brown, but they do start to darken because the oxidative process is a process of dying, slow process of dying. So, from that perspective, anti aging, great nutrients that come from all these different colors that do so many wonderful things in the body. Yes, I believe a fruitarian diet would be wonderful. Now, the caveat is the reason why Brother Akili comes to a conclusion that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never said anything like that in How to Eat to Live is because I don't know a source of fruit where you can get vitamin D. I know that there are many people out here that have a misconception that you can get your protein from fruit. That's not true. Are there some fruits where you can get small amounts? Yes. Do I think that's enough to maintain your body? No. And I do believe that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said navy beans, whole wheat bread, and whole milk are the best of foods. Why? Because as a moving human, we should be moving as people. Sitting at a desk all day or sitting in a chair all day is against life. And so when we think about being a type of person that is moving, exercising, working in a garden, doing other things in nature as part of your daily routine, you are in the need of repairing a lot of muscle. Just like I started today with, right? Protein is not what we need in the body. We break the protein down for the amino acids, and there are not a large amount of amino acids in fruits. And as again, I said, I don't know of any fruit that is a source of vitamin D. The only source of vitamin D that I know of is whole milk, eggs in the yolk, and in salmon. There are other fish that have some, but salmon has the most. So if we agree that those are the best sources of protein for the body. I'm sorry, not the best sources for vitamin D. And if we know how important vitamin D is to the health of the body, hormonally, from the immune system, and if I go back to the statement about cancer, that has to be a large part of your work is to make sure that you are getting good vitamin D sources. Your vitamin D level is as high as you can get it and spend as much time out in the sun as possible. So if we're doing those type of things to be healthy, I'm not sure that a fruitarian diet would be able to repair our muscles enough that we could live a long life being muscularly strong. So, yes, fruitarian would be good, I think, for periods of time. I think it's excellent to decrease aging, but I just don't know if it is a whole food enough to be able to give you everything you need to live at the highest ability. Inshallah.
Yes, sir. Excellent, excellent. I'm learning a lot on this one already.
Praise be to Allah.
So, next question, and again, because I see some people have joined us, if you have any questions for Brother Dr. Akili live, please DM them to me in the Zoom chat. The next question is, how do you suggest a person who has had a heart attack transition into one meal every other day and get off medication? And how long should it take?
Good question. Well, let me first say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in How to Eat to Live never uses the word master when he talks about going from one meal a day to one meal every 2 days or one meal every 3 days. In both books, 1 and 2, he says when you get used to eating one meal a day, try one meal every other day. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Savior's Day 2018 mentioned that How to Eat to Live was law. And in that lecture, he said that we should master one meal a day and then move on to one meal every other day and never go back, which is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also says in How to Eat to Live. So, in the American way of life, when I finished medical school in 1995, it was common for us to consider that a person would be diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol problems, other deteriorating medical problems, probably diagnosed in the 50s, and then they would be getting pretty serious by the time these people were 60, 70. In 2025, we're diagnosing children in elementary school, junior high, high school with diabetes and high blood pressure and other deteriorating medical problems because it is a lifestyle in America that does not support the health of a body nor longevity. So, all of that is just setting up the reality that when a person develops a medical problem, usually if you have a heart problem, it's usually going to be diagnosed in 30 or 40 in these days and times. Again, when I first finished medical school, I wouldn't expect for a 30-year-old to have a heart problem. I was expecting that in people that are 60 and 70. But the lifestyle of America has continued to get worse and more fast and more processed food. So we have these deteriorating medical problems occurring in 30-year-olds. So why am I saying that? Because it took time for your heart to deteriorate. It took time for your heart to develop a problem that wasn't fixed, and then it progressed into something different, something more severe. And so the process of eating one meal every other day would allow your body on the second day when you're not eating, on the day that you're going to eat, but you fasted the day before, you are making stem cells. So you are reversing the problem to some degree. Again, if it's in the priority that I mentioned earlier of the wisdom that Allah already put in these bodies. So I think moving to one meal every other day, if you have a medical problem, is the best thing that any of us could do. Of course, unless you are a child, then we would have to have a different conversation. But if you're an adult and you have a medical problem, that should be the direction that we go into for all the things I just finished talking about: toxic environment, difficulty finding good food, and giving your body rest. Now, what would be the process that I would suggest for a person to transition from one meal a day to one meal every other day because you have a heart problem that you're trying to fix? I would say as fast as possible. I can't give you a time frame because you have to be confident in yourself and you have to go through the processes in yourself to not damage yourself worse. What do I mean? I have seen people approach me more than one. It's, I would say at this point in my tenure in the Nation of Islam, I think it's right about 7 or 8 people who were eating one meal a week, who were eating one meal every 3 days for many, many years. And now they look horrible. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to demean anybody, but they look horrible. That's the only way I can describe them. What happened? They went back to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said don't do. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does say that you can eat one meal a week. So I don't think that any of these people were doing something outside of what we are taught. But when you go there, going back is like a
Mm.
story that I tell about a lady that I met in March. I think it was 2011. She had diabetes, she had high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. When I met her, she was taking 5 medications. When I tell you this is one of the first people that ever taught me the reality of how to live, she was one of the first 3. She didn't know I was teaching her how to live, but I was teaching her how to live, and she was doing it. By the time September or October came, she was already down to one medication, 1 or 2 medications. I don't remember. She got off 3 of them. She was off the high blood pressure medicine, and she wasn't taking multiple medications for diabetes anymore. And I sat down with her and I said, ma'am, look, you keep talking about these family traditions and all these type of things when we have our conversations. And I just want to give you a warning. You can't go into these holidays and fall back into some of these bad habits that your family has been doing and you have a good outcome. Long story short, holidays came. She went all the way in the deep end, dove in, had a major stroke by January, and never spoke again.
Mm.
When I found out what happened to her, she was in a nursing home, or I should say a rehabilitation hospital, massive stroke. Never walked again, never talked again. So the point of telling that story is that in my experience, when I see people do good, when I see people change and go in the right direction, if they fall off that horse, the deterioration the second time is much more severe and usually much more devastating. And so I think that what I just shared with you is the explanation of why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't do it. So that's why you can't take instruction from me when to do it. I say as soon as possible because it's going to start healing your body. Imagine that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said fasting is a cure for 90% of our ills. And you finish a 31-day month, you fasted 15 days. So there were 15 days in your month where your body was being built, renewed, not repaired. Repair is when you do something and it's not brand new. A stem cell is brand new. That's regeneration, that's renewing. So 15 days out of a 30 or 31-day month, I'm being renewed, regenerated. That's amazing. But you can't go down that road because you're in fear. Well, I don't want my heart to such and such and such and such. I don't want this problem. I don't want that. And this is what I have seen. People will do everything you ask them to do when they're in fear. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of this. Oh, I'm petrified. Do everything you ask them to do. And then as soon as they get better, as soon as they get the test that says things have gotten much better, you go back to that ignorance, you're going to die pretty soon. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a horrible falling off a cliff. And so that would be my suggestion. You have to process yourself. And what you should do is adequately evaluate, are you doing one meal a day right? And if you're not doing one meal a day well enough, then work on that. And then as you get your confidence that I'm doing right, I cleaned up my diet, I cleaned up what I put on my skin, I'm eating more healthy foods. Sometimes I go a couple of weeks and only eat fruit. Great. Now start suggesting to yourself, okay, I'm going to move in the direction of one meal every other day. And quickly, let me tell you all how I did it. I went when my wife and I were in Houston. I came home one day, and I don't know why I asked this. I don't know what motivated this, but I said, "Babe, how do you think I'm doing with practicing one meal a day?" She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Give me a percentage, like how often, how at 100 being perfect. What do you think my practice of one meal a day is?" She said, "I think you do it 85%." And that was the same number I had in my head. That day, I said, I'm going to start working towards one meal every other day because I still had a little extra weight on me that I didn't want to have. So the first thing that I did was I started fasting more on the unity fast. So if like we eat our last meal on Thursday, I would eat my last meal on Wednesday. We break fast on Sunday. I would sometimes break it on Monday. Why? Friday and Monday were usually my busiest days. So it's easy for me to fast on those days. And so that's what I first did was I increased my fasting days. And then I started eating Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I changed to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And these were just experiments that I was doing. And then I would eat on my eat day, and then I may drink a smoothie or just do fruit on the other day to lead to me not eating on that day. And then I got to the point where I just started doing every other day. And that's when I started eating on odd days. So I eat odd days and I fast on even days. So you may take some information from me or you may come up with your own system, but come up with a system where you're working yourself towards that discipline, working yourself towards the diligence. And then when you flip that switch, you can't go back. You'll solve your problems and you'll extend your life. But I have to keep pressing this issue. Those believers that I saw that used to do 7 days, they used to do every 3 days, their bodies are in horrible shape. And I see a slowness in their mentality as well. So it is absolutely something that I pray and I say to myself every day that I will never, inshallah, go down that path of reversing from where I am at one meal every other day to going back because of what I've seen as a warning. My actual plan is to go to one meal every 3 days when I turn 60. So I got 2 years. And working towards that, I don't ever plan on coming back. So that would be my answer. And inshallah, my testimonies helped you understand why I said it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Um, so just a little extra encouragement to heed that warning from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Once you
That's
make
right.
that step, be serious about it. No backtracking.
Facts.
Um, Another question. Oops, I just realized I put this message in the wrong place. um, how should you, and I like this question, I had something similar in mind. How should you integrate your workout with fasting? That's part one of the question. Part two is what's the best time of day to eat when fasting every other day?
What's up, Akili?
So, Rod, um, so what I do is I work out on the fasting day because, as I mentioned earlier, food and the food that you take in represents your energy for tomorrow. Um, so there are two things that I need to get for you all. One is where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks in How to Eat to Live about the time that it takes to digest and then process and then distribute the food. I'm gonna have to get that page for you all. And then I also owe you all the one where he talks about the different, I just found it. So pay book one, page 57 is where Nana Elijah Muhammad talks about fast for 9 days or 20 days or 30 days. And then he talks about, I'm paraphrasing, right? So you all looking for yourself, page 57 on if you don't have the right thoughts, that will not benefit you, right? So 57, book one. I'll have to find the other one, but when he talks about the time frame that it takes for you to digest, process, and then distribute the food, that is the process that we have to take in consideration because I know many of you have heard, like when a person says, hey, I'm going to eat this protein bar because I'm about to go to the gym. That's not going to be in your body by the time you get to the gym. As a
Mm.
matter of fact, if you eat something on the way to the gym or you eat before you go work out, that food's going to be in your stomach just sitting there because when you start moving these muscles in an exercise type way, your GI system shuts down.
Teaching.
Your food will be just sitting in there, not being worked on because the body is pulling its attention away from the GI system to the muscles. And then, if any of you are sports fans and you've watched any football games during the winter time, when you see these brothers come off the field and they take off the helmet, what's smoking the most? It's not the muscles that they're using, it's their head. You see their head with all the steam coming out because we use the brain. I don't care what people think in general, athletes are geniuses. Can't be dumb and be a great athlete like many of these brothers. It's impossible. But anyway, sidebar. So the point that I'm getting to when I say that is the work that the body has to do has to be founded. The foundation of that has to be nutrition. So you can't think that what I'm eating today is serving me today. No, what I eat today, if you're following 1 meal a day or even 1 meal every day, that food is going to serve you tomorrow. So the way I work out, which is pretty difficult workout, and I work out in the middle of the day when the sun is shining, I'm going to use a lot of energy and I'm going to be low on energy when I get done. So if I were to work out on the day that I eat after the fasting day, I wouldn't have much energy, right? Based on what I just said, I didn't eat anything yesterday, so I don't have anything in my storage today to feed my body while I'm working out. So workouts 1 meal every other day, I would suggest be done on your fasting day because your eating day is feeding what you're going to do that day. And then that exercise is going to do so much to improve what we talked about before, right? I talked about if your food is finished digesting at 12 hours, somewhere between usually 16, 18 to 24 hours, you're going to start making stem cells. But if you add a workout in, and you don't mess up after your workout and slip something in or eat something or do something like that, your all of those processes that I talked about on that fasting reality are taken to another level. And so your body is going to make more progress as far as producing stem cells. Why? Because you heightened it and you got it revved up and you put blood flow in some areas of the body where it needs some work. And the response when that blood work goes back and sends those messenger molecules and those messenger substances back to the brain says, oh, wow, I didn't know something was going on over there. Send some stem cells, send some white blood cells, send some more blood cells for more oxygen so we can go heal that. That's what happens in exercise. It opens up the body to more viewership, more patrolmen, right? More security guards to check everything that's going on and say, okay, we need some work over here. It's not mysterious how this body works. It's very specific how this body works. And so fasting being the cure for 90% of our ills means that the body is doing a lot of good stuff. And when you add exercise, you're taking it even to another level. So it will be a wonderful thing to exercise when you are fasting, but 1 meal every other day, you have to do it scientifically. And then when we go on longer periods of fast, my suggestion is curtail your exercise. When I fast for multiple days, I might go out and do exercise, but I might do half of my workout, or I may just do push-ups and crunches and a few things today for a little while. I won't do 2 and 3 sets like I do on my normal days, but that is a thing that all of us have to, again, process and learn yourself because you have to know your limits and you have to know when your body's telling you calm down because I literally have put myself in danger. I had heat exhaustion one day. It was 2017, if I remember correctly. We were at the farm in Winnie, outside of Houston, and me and some of the brothers were playing basketball, and I wasn't drinking enough water, and I didn't really notice it until I got in the car and started driving back home, which was about an hour drive, and I stopped sweating. And I knew I was in trouble when I stopped sweating. When I got to the house, tried to hydrate, and I was throwing up everything that I was putting in.
Mm,
So when I tell you, you have to, when you start fasting and you're exercising, and when you're in hot environments, you have to take some time, learn your body, experiment with your body, and know the signs. I had a few signs that day, but I just, from an ego perspective, because I was out there talking crazy and wanting to win the game, right? So I didn't want to stop and got myself in trouble. And so earlier, when I mentioned the heat exhaustion versus the heat stroke, I was in heat exhaustion when I evaluated everything that happened afterwards, right? I was in a bad state. It could have ended up well, praise be to Allah, it didn't. But I'm saying that from a perspective to you all. Be careful, take your time, build your systems, build your exercise routine, and make sure you do what is within the realm of you knowing yourself. Your body, listen to this closely, please, brothers and sisters. Your body will never wind up in trouble without giving you warning signs. Never.
mm.
I know nobody that has died, nobody that got seriously sick and wound up in the hospital that didn't have multiple warning signs. Our bodies talk to us on a regular basis. The question is, are you listening?
Good teaching. Good teaching. Praise be to Allah. Man, I not to take away from Men's Health Part One, but this is a good sequel. I'm
Praise be
get,
to Allah.
I'm getting a lot of practical information for myself right now. So praise be to Allah. Um, again, if anybody has any questions, please direct message them to myself. The time is 7:21, so we got about 10 more minutes with our brother. Yes, sir.
Real quick. Book one, page 76, brothers and sisters. That's one of the times that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, after getting used to eating one once a day, we can get used to eating once every 2 days. So you can find the rest of them. He says it about, I remember correctly, about 4 times in both books, but the minister added the master. So work on it, brothers and sisters. We need it as we age.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, next question. How effective is How to Eat to Live for autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis, ALS, etc.? What ways can they use How to Eat to Live to help?
Um, Very short answer. Follow how to each live to the best of your ability. If you need more help, just let me know. But I'm gonna find this page for you all. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, I believe it's in book 2, but he says that we can heal ailments of the heart and chronic diseases, sometimes in months, sometimes in years. And for the person that asked that question, if it's you, family member, friend, whoever, I have never seen an autoimmune disorder solved other than how to eat to live. Because the first thing that they do when people have an autoimmune disorder is pump you with steroids, which shuts down the immune system. It's not the solution. It's like covering your eyes because you don't want to see a reality.
Hmm.
And even with some of these other diets, the Mediterranean diet, these vegans and all these type of people, I've seen people get better, but that you're gonna fall off a cliff as well. I have, as I've said many occasions, I have not ever seen a vegan healthy long term. Mediterranean diet, I've seen people last a long time, but because of some of the meats in there and some of the things that they do that's against God's word and the nuts and other things like that, they're going to wind up in trouble too. Autoimmune disorders can be solved with how to eat to live. I would suggest that if you're a young person, you can do it with one meal a day. But if you're mid 30s or 40 and over, you should start going down that one meal every other day road. But the difficulty factor with an autoimmune disorder is that most of the time, damage to the body is possible. And if you've had it for a while, you're already probably suffering with some organ damage. And so you have to be careful, right? Because for me to sit here and try to play with anybody as if there aren't difficulty factors with practicing how to eat to live, I will be lying to you. It's not always just this beautiful array, like everything is going to be perfect, right? No. Putting your body in a state where it is going in the direction of healing is no different than any other process in our lives where you have to go through difficulty to get to a intended goal, right? And I use the example of working out. Most of the time I work out by myself. So I have to energize myself, motivate myself. Right? I ain't got nobody else. But if me and brother, I saw brother Demetrius post something today where he was doing his push-ups, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to start doing mine like that because I've never done them before. But if he and I were in a room together exercising, he's gonna push me and I'm gonna push him. Sometimes without even talking. You look over and be like, damn, this dude doing 30 and he's still going. I'm not gonna stop either. Sometimes it's the word. Like me and Rod used to work out back in college. Man, don't let that weight punk you, boy. Get it up off your chest. So we're talking crazy to each other, which inspires you to do a little more, a little harder, right? So what am I saying? I'm saying that that's the way the human body works when it's overcoming a disease as well.
Mm,
Because the fact that you have an autoimmune disorder, first of all, don't believe the lie that your body was made to beat up and kill itself, that your immune system was made to attack itself. No, all of the things I talked about earlier, using the wrong lotion, wrong shampoo, wrong toothpaste, wrong stuff under your arm, these chemicals, all of these horrible things are going in the body. Your body is attacking that, and your body's tissues are collateral damage. Don't ever let anybody make you think that your body isn't made to be satisfied and healthy and working at a high level. We have the capability to 1,000 years. So for them to make our minds think that your body's going to attack itself, don't believe that madness. Your body is not attacking itself. Your body is attacking what I said earlier. Your body's made to murder everything that comes in it that's not supposed to be there. And so here it is, you eating ramen noodles every day and pouring the beef or the shrimp or the chicken packet, which is totally packed with horrible chemicals, and you eating that every day. When you break down your food, you're absorbing things so small you can't see it with your naked eye. That's going into your tissues. Because if we were to bring in and put into the bloodstream all the toxins and some of these bad things that we're doing, you wouldn't make it through the night. So our bodies throw that stuff in tissues. Like, let me put this over here in these fat cells. Let me put this down over here. Put this over here. Let the liver take care of this to keep you alive. Now that it's in the tissue, when the immune system gets the ability and it's strong enough, it says, hey, I got to go get that. This will be no different than if you have to go take your sheets off the bed because you're getting ready to wash them, right? But you got nails and you scratch the mattress. Or while you're taking off the sheets, you might bump the mattress and, cause a little dent in one of the little springs or something in the. So anyway, you guys understand what I'm saying. You can cause some damage when you go to get the problems. And that's what an autoimmune disorder is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he gives us in How to Eat to Live solves the three problems that cause disease. What is that? Lack of nutrition, malnutrition, lack of being clean or toxicity. And then thirdly is nutrition, toxicity, and dehydration, lack of water. So when you put the things in the body that gives you what it needs to operate at the highest function, it will solve the problems that you are dealing with. And in my experience with the autoimmune disorders that you mentioned, as far as many more, lupus and all the new names that they have for them these days. So you got to know it's got to be a trick when autoimmune disorders are growing as the years go by. How could that be all of a sudden in the 2020s or the 2000s we started getting autoimmune disorders when people that are 60 and 70 never heard of them? It's a process of deterioration of the body, and arrogant people want to name things so they can live in infamy, right? But at the end of the day, I've seen every autoimmune disorder that you all have heard of, I've seen get better just by a person attempting to clean themselves up, drink more water, exercise, move more, and make sure that you clean up what goes on your body. And it will start to go in the right direction. And you'll know that you're on the right path.
Praise be to Allah. Powerful, powerful. Um, when you were talking about the righteous competition with the
Yes,
exercise,
sir.
Sister Nisa said, "Nah, for real, this 60-year-old lady at the gym was not about to outdo me. She said she was not gonna outdo me." Um,
I have to say that she absolutely did outdo me because I almost died
wow.
trying to battle her. I'm like, I'm done.
No, Big Nisa, you could have left that off. Man. Praise be to Allah for transparency. Let's
That's
go
right.
back real quick to the question about integrating the workout with fasting, because
Hmm.
That was my question, Akili.
so now we know that was Brother Roger's question. We weren't sure if you answered the part about um the best time of the day to eat when fasting every other day.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. My bad. Um, well, you know, with all the greatness that this book has done for my life, I try to keep it to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. And being transparent, I hardly ever am able to eat at 4 or 6 or 4 to 6. So my meals are usually later on in the evening. But my suggestion, Rob, would be to try to eat at what he says, right? 4 to 6 or 4 or 6. But if that's not possible, try to eat at the same time every day. And inshallah, that will give you the rhythmic reality that we need. And, of course, give you what I talked about earlier about giving you the what it is that you need to make it through your workout. Did I
Is
answer
that
that
a
time?
is
Huh?
that AM?
No, no. PM.
Four to
Hey, by the
six
way,
PM.
man, I got to say that my brother has done a lot of changing his lifestyle and has does a lot with the things that I say about how he's lived. But obviously, just now, you proved that you ain't read the book. Get the book, read the book, bro.
Praise be to Allah. Oh man.
Whatever, man. I ain't been sick since 2015.
That's right.
Allahu
I still
Akbar.
want you to get the book and read the book for yourself, though. You might learn something, teach me something.
Yes, sir. Thank God for the brotherhood. Um, Another question here. Well, it's 7:33. Let me see what we got. Let me see what we got. By the way, Sister Anissa, if you would like to, if you can close us with one section of the Holy Quran, let me know.
Yes,
Please.
sir, I can.
Praise be to Allah. Um, Somebody has sent one. This one, see, or maybe I'm tripping.
I sent you one
Okay.
about with infertility.
Have you, okay. Have you ever worked with a couple who were suffering with infertility issues that was on the husband's end? If so, what was the remedy?
Yes, absolutely. I have worked with couples where the brother was as we say in a funny way, shooting blanks, right? And unfortunately, that's another conversation that many times is very difficult because I have not ever had a man sit in front of me and admit that he was the problem. Automatically think that it was the sister that was infertile. And so after the testing, the conversation was different when it came back for the results. But yes, I have dealt with that. And let me preface this statement that I'm about to make with whether you believe it or not, the earth in the manner that we live on today is 66 trillion, approximately 66 trillion years old. And Black people have been reproducing, as I said earlier, for that long and longer. So for us to have the fastest growing infertility rates in this country, it just makes no sense, right? It makes no sense that, I mean, it literally would be like all of us on this call right now. If all of us are able to walk, if none of us have any type of disabilities where we're able to walk just what we consider normally every day. Can you imagine next week, Tuesday, you try to get out of your bed, or you do get out of your bed and your legs aren't just working, and now you can't walk anymore? That would be very strange to you, right? Like, damn, I've been walking all my life and now I just can't walk. That's what a Black person being infertile is. It's so strange. It makes absolutely no sense that we don't have the ability when we've been doing this for so long. So I wanted to start there to paint the picture and put the foundation on what I'm about to say. That if a man and a woman are married and one or the other is infertile, don't believe that you, as the one that's so-called is not the problem, don't have a problem. Because typically, right, and I'm talking typically, a man and his wife eat similar. They go out, right? If one works out, they probably both work out. If one's a couch potato, they're probably both couch potatoes. So my point is that many people that are married have similar lifestyles. And to find one or the other in trouble, that person just got to the place where it deteriorated enough where you know it. Because there aren't any tests to look at a woman's eggs. Now, you can do a test to find out if she's ovulating. You can do a test to make sure that the egg that she did release is fertile. You can do those things, but you can't go look at an egg. You can see some egg, some of the ovum that are in there, because as they get close to the time when they're going to be released, they get a little larger. And so if we do an ultrasound, MRI, CT scan on a woman's ovary, we can actually see some of the eggs in there. But you can't see the ones that are what we call primordial, that are in there, but they haven't grown enough for any type of imaging study to see. Now, contrast that with, we can have a man give us some of his sperm and we can look and see what your sperm is today. Now, he's making some every day, but if it's bad today, the next batch is probably going to be bad as well. And so the measurement of infertility is different in men and women in the manner in which we go to figure out that problem. But the process of what causes the problem in both is the same. And it goes right back to every answer I've given you before. Toxicity, dehydration, malnutrition is what causes infertility. And in my experience, that toxicity is usually the big one. And the toxicity is usually something that has been existing for a long period of time. And it is definitely one of those problems that when you start going in the right direction, very similar to, I think I mentioned this last time on the women's call, but when it comes to fatty tissues, which the ovary and the testicle are, the delay in you getting the signs of your work is usually frustrating. And so, if you are having a fertility problem, brother or sister, have patience because you sometimes can do well for a few months and it just hasn't been enough time to clean up everything in, excuse me, in order to get things where they need to be. But I've had many people that have had struggles for years. And after we started working together within a year and a half, I think the longest I've ever seen was 2 years. If they're diligent and really trying and really working on it, they eventually get pregnant. I have not seen anybody that has worked with me and put in the effort not return to being fertile.
Excellent. Excellent. Um, okay. Do do you have time for one more question, brother Dr. Q?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Um, this one is, how can you restore your energy when you've done so many yo-yo diets that have depleted yourself so that you can have the energy to exercise now that you are eating correctly?
Hmm. Well,
And if you could too, because I don't know what a yo-yo diet is. If you know what that was meant, just to help the audience as well who might not know.
well, whoever asked the question would have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I took that as the yo-yo effect of diets.
Yeah.
Like I watched my mother and all of her sisters, all my aunts do most of my life. They do Weight Watchers for a month or two, lose some weight, gain it right back. Then they go to the Pritikin diet, same thing. Then they go to this other person's diet. And now what Oprah talking about? We're gonna do that. We're gonna do it together. Yeah, we're gonna do it together. All of them, all of my life as a child, I watched my mother and my aunts gain weight, lose it, gain it back, 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 lose it. And then every single one of them ran into that, what I call the cliff or the brick wall of so much damage being done to the body that it just can't maintain anymore. So all of them eventually ran into some serious medical problems. So um,
They
that
said
would be
that's
my
correct.
first statement. Huh?
They said that's correct, how you described it,
Oh,
the yo-yo diet.
praise be to Allah. So the first thing that I would say to a person who has done that and is potentially suffering from some of those consequences, I'd have to go back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad statement. It depends on how much damage you have done. Um, but let me say that even in situations where I've seen people do a lot of damage to their body, the benefits that you can get from how to eat to live and fasting, many times you can't tell. And I'll use an analogy for that as well, right? One of my favorite players when I used to watch a lot of football was Willis McGahee. And I don't know if any of you remember him, but he was uh, running back for the Miami Hurricanes. And January, whatever the date it was, where he was in the national championship game, his knee, like I'm using my arm as an analogy, his knee, which can't, right, can only extend that far, folded all the way over,
Mm.
tore all of the ligaments in his knee, destroyed both of his meniscus. So when it comes to a knee, I, as a physician, have never seen.
Is he frozen or is it just me? I think you froze, brother Dr. Akili. Sister Anissa,
And
are
I didn't
you?
see him. The person I'm talking about, what I, as he put up. Oh, okay.
I don't know if that was just me or did he freeze?
Am I still froze?
No,
I'm good.
no, he did for you.
Okay, yeah,
Am I
no,
back
we good.
now?
Yeah, you back now. You good. You good.
Okay.
You said you had
So
never seen, as
I
far
had
as
never seen a knee with that much damage.
mm,
And I had seen many meniscus tears, many torn ligaments and all that. But for Willis McGahee to get drafted to the NFL and then become a player that played in the NFL, so we're talking about at a very high level for a long period of time, his knee was never the same. But could we tell? No. Why? Because he went back and played at a high level. But was he at the same level that he would have been if he never did the damage to his knee? No, he would never get back there because the surgeries can do some things, but it can't give you 100%. So what is the point? That there's no question in my mind that yo-yo diets cause problems because it's just sending the body into a completely confused state. And that's the perfect state where disease sets in the confused state, right? But if you were to come away from that reality and dedicate yourself to how to eat to live to the best of your ability, you won't be able to tell that you did any damage. You won't be cognizant of it because your body has so much potential and such a great potential that if you were 100% when you were 17 and then this yo-yo dieting brought your body down to 80, you could live your life and never know there was any damage done. So don't be dismayed, sister or brother, whoever asked the question, because if you practice how to eat to live and get good at it, and then eventually decide to go to one meal every other day, your body will be maximized. And I want to repeat this point about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad telling us in both books that if we eat the way he suggests, we will live to 140. Not in any of those statements did he talk about what age to start. And if none of you have seen anybody that's 140, then that could still be your goal.
that's right.
So you have a body that you did some damage to. So what? You can still make it to 140, which is beyond anybody that I know of's goal. And then what did he say? If you eat one meal every other day, you'll live that much longer. How long is that? Never put a number on it. But then he says if you eat one meal every 3 days, you'll live to 1,000 years. So we know that eating one meal every other day will get you somewhere between 140 and 1,000. I'm willing to take them odds every day. And I'm here to tell you that nobody that I've studied, nobody that I've ever researched has ever given anywhere close to the guarantees that Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives. So trust in the fact, brother or sister, that whatever decisions you made before were made because you were getting information from liars.
Right.
And if you decide to make the choice, whether you're in the Nation of Islam or not, I really don't care. I'll put this book up against anybody, any day, any time, any country, any language, whatever age. If you come away from getting your information from liars, thieves, and money grabbers and go to How to Eat to Live, which is what? $10 a book, $5 a book, some places. I
Usually five.
promise you, $5, right?
Yes, sir.
So for $10 and your effort, you could pretty much make whatever damage you've done not even recognizable, but you will get the type of benefits that you never saw with all of those diets put together. Because every diet that I've seen all of my mother and my uncles do, I should say, I saw my mother and all of my aunts do, and everybody since I've been in the practice of medicine, I have seen cause damage because it doesn't get done in the right way. The foods aren't right. The way people do their bodies is abnormal. There's no rhythm to it. So it's eventually going to cause lack of balance, disease, and it's going to be noticeable. You can avoid all of that even with the fact that you may have done some damage with the yo-yo effect. Just do, please, like I was mentioning earlier, the people that I saw dedicate themselves to disciplining themselves, to doing something in how to live that was a step more aggressive. But you can't decide to go down this road and then do it and get away from it like you did those diets. Make this your lifestyle, stick with it as your lifestyle, plan on getting better at it as you discipline yourself and move forward. And I can pretty much, I don't ever make guarantees, but I can make close to guarantees when I follow this man's book. I can say that you'll probably never even have to consider what happened going through those trials and tribulations that you did. So pray that I answered your question.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Brother Dr. Akili, for
Yes,
this
sir. Yes, sir.
excellent part 2 on how to eat to live men's health. That will be our last question. And everybody, please, once this replay is up, this was so powerful. Share the links for part 1 and part 2 with our people. Brother, did he leave? I guess he left. I don't see his name. But your brother Roderick said something earlier that stuck out to me when he said that he hasn't been sick since, I think he said 2015 or something like that. And
Yes, sir.
this was after you said that he's been practicing the things that you've spoken to him about after we found out that he hasn't actually read the books.
That's right.
So for, our people out there who need this truth, but maybe too stubborn or blind to be able to accept it by going and getting the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, because maybe they don't like this about the nation, or maybe, oh, why should I listen to him? We have to give it to our people ourselves then and be the
That's
example,
right.
so that, we can change our reality and our conditions. So please share this call once the replay is up. Brother Dr. Akili, you've already explained your information for part 1, then women's health part 1. So just real quick, if you could just give us the website again, since we know that has all your information, and if anybody wants to donate or get services from the brother, what's your website again?
TheUltimateWellnessGroup.com. That is our website. The number, all the ways to get in touch with me are there.
Yes,
And if you all don't mind, when you see me start posting stuff to promote my business, because the grand opening is supposed to happen in September, just
praise be to Allah.
repost for your brother if you don't mind, and tell some people about me, because
Absolutely.
I'm going to be successful regardless, because I have the faith and I believe that Allah is going to back me in doing the right thing.
That's right.
But I wouldn't mind people that see me doing something that's worthwhile, and those that love and care and have concern for me to help me with this process, because I'm in Missouri now, but the plan is to be in multiple places, and the plan is to continue to associate myself with people like Nafisa and all the good she's doing, and all the other brothers and sisters that are concerned about our people's health. That's my focus. I do a lot of other things to try to help us, but that's my focus. That's what I believe Allah put me on this planet to do. And we got a lot of work to do, because our people are suffering.
Yes, sir.
And I know you all are hearing and watching and experiencing like I am. We're losing a lot of people. There are a lot of cases of cancer and a lot of cases of autoimmune disorders that came from the fact that the man of God told us not to take the shot, but people did anyway. And they're suffering because of it. And so I got a lot of work to do, and I need to be successful. And I have to keep living this lifestyle and being an example, because I never want to have forked tongue, and I never want to be, like the Quran says, a lip professor. So Thank you, brothers and sisters, for coming. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the challenge of the questions. And again, I didn't have any, notification of what the questions were before. I just try to let my experience in the book speak. And lastly, I will say that if anybody has a problem with the Nation of Islam, Minister Farrakhan, Don Elijah Muhammad, me, or anybody else, address it with us. I would ask, reach out to me and let's have a personal conversation on why you have a problem with us or you have a problem following how to eat to live, because what you're listening to is a man who's been in this field for 30 years, 21 following how to eat to live. And there's not a doctor that I know or that went to school with me, trained with me, that has any lifestyle that they can suggest to you that outdoes mine. Why? Because I'm outdoing all of them. Most doctors that I know take medications behind closed doors. Many doctors that I know smoke behind closed doors. Damn near every doctor I know is an alcoholic.
Mm.
They spend more time at the bar and happy hour than they do thinking about you as a patient. So all I'm saying is that, we don't need to evaluate trees by anything other than the fruit. It could be an ugly tree. If that fruit is good, we're going to keep going to the ugly tree. So no matter how ugly our enemies have made the Nation of Islam and Islam look to Black people, we have to start asking the questions and having serious dialogue.
Come on.
You remove your ego, we remove our ego, we remove the religion out the way, and let's just talk some actual facts. Let's just talk some experiences, and then let's grow in unity as a people, because it makes no sense what is occurring with our young people. But what is happening with our young people killing each other is because we as adults and we as older people, we in all these different organizations, religious and otherwise, we gang bang all the time. And then we want to destroy them by saying that's what they're doing. All
Teach,
they're doing
teach.
is living out in a physical reality what we do with our mouths and our minds. So thank you again for the opportunity. I thoroughly appreciate it.
Good teaching. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Sister Nisa said in the comments, Allah chose the believers for their heart, and you have a beautiful heart, beloved. May Allah always protect and guide you and maximize your reach. I wholeheartedly agree.
Praise
And
be to Allah. Thank you.
after leaving us off on that beautiful note, let's all take our purpose serious, like our brother, because he can't save our people by himself. Minister Farrakhan can't save our people by himself. He is commissioning us all to be in unity, like our brother said. So, without further delay, Sister Nisa, if you can still close us out, as we always do on the Master Call, with one section from the Holy Quran.
Yes, I can. Thank you all again for joining. I am in chapter 24, Al Nur, the light, section 5, manifestation of divine light. If anybody can meet me there in case I make a mistake.
Yes, ma'am. 24 in what section?
Section 5, page 707, Mulana Muhammad.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. A likeness of his light is as a pillar on which is a lamp. The lamp is in a glass. The glass is as it were a brightly shining star, lit from a blessed olive tree, neither eastern nor western. The oil whereof gives light there. Let me read back. Lit from a blessed olive tree, neither eastern nor western. The oil whereof gives light, though fire touch it not. Light upon light. Allah guides to his light whom he pleases. And Allah sets forth parables for men, and Allah is knower of all things. It is in houses which Allah has permitted to be exalted and his name to be remembered therein. Therein do glorify him in the morning and the evenings. men whom neither merchandise nor selling diverts from the remembrance of Allah and the keeping up of prayer and the paying of the poor rate. They fear a day in which the hearts and the eyes will turn about, that Allah may give them the best reward for what they did and give them more out of His grace. And Allah provides without measure for whom He pleases. And those who disbelieve, their deeds are as a mirage in a desert, which the thirsty man deems to be water until when he turns, subhanAllah, until when he comes to it, he finds it not, and he finds Allah with him. So he pays him his due, and Allah is swift at reckoning. Or like darkness in the deep sea, there covers him a wave, above which is a wave, above which is a cloud. Layers of darkness, one above another. When he holds out his hand, he is almost unable to see it. And to whom Allah gives not light, he has no light. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Ali.
Excellent closing session. Praise be to Allah. All right, family. Thank you again for your time. Thank you again, particularly for yours, brother Dr. Akili. And we will close out with prayer. Prayer time. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, Thee alone do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favors, not of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after hearing Thy teachings. Ameen. Love you all.
Beautiful. I mean,
Assalamu alaikum, family.
walaikum salam.
Salam.
Alaikum salam.